KFH.
I'm Bridget Condon with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. Announced Wednesday a multi-year commitment to play regular season games in Melbourne, Australia, starting in 2026 as the league continues its international expansion. The first ever regular season game in Australia will be held at the iconic Melbourne Cricket Ground with the Los Angeles Rams as the designated team. Australia represents a significant global market for the NFL with a growing fan base of 6.6 million across the country. Elsewhere, just days after requesting a trade from the Browns, defensive end Myles Garrett appeared on the Rich Eisen show and reiterated his love for Cleveland, but made it clear that his priority is competing for championships, not the Hall of Fame or money. Garrett also revealed that he consulted with LeBron James before making his trade request known. Packers running back Josh Jacobs says that despite the success of Green Bay's wide receiver by committee approach, the team needs a true number one target in 2025. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
Find what you love, love what you find. A Total Wine and More. There's so much waiting for you. All kinds of beers and thousands of wines. Guys in the know and prices so low, it just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
Only at Total Wine and More. Drink responsibly. Be 21.
Lowe's knows how to help you get the most out of your store run. That's why members save more with MyLowe's Rewards. Earn points towards MyLowe's money on eligible purchases. Get access to member-only deals and free member gifts. Plus, unlock free standard shipping when you reach Silver Key status. So what are you waiting for? Join for free today. Lowe's. We help. You save. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
Now, from Wichita's most listened to sports radio, 97.5 and 1240 KFH. This is Sports Daily with Jacob Albrock and Tommy Kester.
All right, welcome in, everybody. Happy Thursday to you. We are just days away now from the Super Bowl, and we are continuing to get you ready. We got a three-man booth for it today. Jacob Albrock here alongside Tommy Castor and TJ Cleveland in off of a late night in MHK up in Manhattan as the K-State women knock off number 9 TCU. Massive environment there. We'll get TJ's take on that. We'll also get the latest on K-State men and women with Tim Fitzgerald, our K-State insider. That's coming up in the next hour, as is our betting insider, PJ Glasser, coming up in the next hour as well. We're jam-packed today. We're getting you ready for that Super Bowl, all the different ways we can look at it. We're going to look at it because really all there is left to do is play the game. So what's being said, I know that Tommy is really concerned that Sky Moore was limited at practice yesterday, so he's got a lot of thoughts on that. We'll let him get into that. Your comments, your commentary, always welcome here on KFH. Whether you're driving to work right now, you can give us a call at 869-1240. Whether you're at work or trying to listen to us when you're not in your car, on the Odyssey app, perhaps, you can leave us your voice messages there. Of course, if you're watching our video stream on 12 News Connected, on YouTube, on X, you can leave us your video comments there as well. All kinds of different ways to get in touch with the show. Fellas, good morning. How are you? Tommy? We're almost there here.
Yeah, I'm usually pretty good each morning in here, but now I'm watching TJ right across the studio from me yawning, and so it makes me want to go back to bed, to be honest with you.
We're gonna have to get the yawn counter out and click them. If you're watching at home, let me know.
Like an umpire in baseball, like clicking the balls and strikes. Every time you yawn, we're gonna count one.
Is there anybody that ever works these early shifts that isn't tired most of the time? Like, I started my news career on like those mornings, and those mornings started at like 2 a.m. 21, 22 years old, fresh out of college, 2 a.m. wake up call. That didn't go well for me.
I'll tell you, of course, we're here in the Odyssey studios. And so every morning, I'm seeing guys like Steve McIntosh and Ted Woodward over on KNSS, looking at Greg the Hitman Williams over on Power 93.5. These guys have been getting up early, like 2, 3 a.m. for like 40 years. and they're maniacs. Like I'm tired. They're good. They've done it for so long. They're good to go. And I mean the word maniac with, all due respect.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's all right.
I woke up this morning and I had a bit of a revelation that I went to bed at about 1 a.m. after getting back late last night. And if I went to bed at 8 p.m., I would probably still be like this. It's just a kick in the gut every time the alarm goes off at 5:30. So
that's right. 5:30, by the way. I don't know why you feel like you need to get up at 5:30.
Yeah. What are you doing? Prepping a show? Prepping what you're going to talk about?
I got a fiance that goes to work at 6. So I just wake up along with her.
Yeah, that's noble of you. My wife heads into work about, I don't know, 7.5 minutes before I get up. And you better believe I am like hitting the snooze for that 7.5 minutes up to the last absolute second. And then here we go. People driving to work are like, you guys are a bunch of pansies. Like, we do this every day. It's no big deal. You're talking on the radio. Get over it. And you're right. But here we go. Here we are. TJ, how was Manhattan last night? It was a packed house. K-State women knock off number 9 TCU at home. Man, that was awesome.
It was. I always tell people I love covering K-State basketball games because you get to shoot them and be on the floor. I'm next to the bench. And I mean, last night was probably the most fun I've had in Bramlage since I probably watched like K-State men beat Baylor on a buzzer beater last year, Sunflower Showdown last year. But I mean, packed to the brim student section, letting TCU hear it. I mean, it wasn't a sellout. It was pretty close though. They had a really good number there. Awesome atmosphere. They're really, really good. And they don't even have Aoka Lee, and they are really, really good. They're fun to watch.
Yeah, they got a chance to do something very special in the tournament. Like if they can get there, if they can get healthy, and we've said that from the beginning of the season, just wondering, could they take that next step? And I think they can. It is awesome to see. Look, if you haven't followed along yet, you've got a legitimate national contender there in Manhattan on the women's side. So tune in. We'll talk to Tim Fitzgerald about that later. As the buzz continues to build for the K-State men as well. It's a pretty happy time down there in Manhattan. We got football schedules, by the way, yesterday in the Big 12. We didn't talk about this at all. I don't know. I think it's harder than ever to glean anything out of a football schedule, Tommy. Like, it's just really, really difficult right now to guess at who these teams are going to, because even yesterday was National Signing Day. I didn't even know it was National Signing Day until about
the third National Signing Day of the year.
Until about 4:00. Like, that's how, like, it was not that long ago where National Signing Day was like the thing, right? Like, you didn't know where guys were going to go until that day is so far gone, and it feels like it's been forever. It really hasn't been that long. Now we know where everybody's going, and you insert the transfer portal. So we get schedules yesterday, and it's like, okay, I guess we can take a stab in the dark at whether we think this is a good or a bad schedule. KU, Big 12 opponents will be West Virginia, Cincinnati, UCF, Texas Tech, K-State, of course, Oklahoma State, Arizona, Iowa State, and Utah. K-State, who plays Army, by the way. And don't forget about Iowa State to lead the season off in Ireland. Sports Daily's TJ Cleveland will be there in person reporting.
What time is it going to be? Am I going to have to do a live hit from 2 a.m. from Ireland on Sports Daily or something?
It'll be later in the day, right? I think it'll be later in the day.
If I pretended like I knew anything about the time change to Ireland right now, I'd be lying like a politician. I have no idea. All right. So they will play Iowa State, of course, Arizona, UCF, Baylor, TCU, Kansas, Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, Utah, Colorado. There's a lot of similarities in these schedules. I think K-State's looks a little tougher. I don't know that either of them look. The problem is what's easy in the Big 12. Anybody think there's going to be a cupcake next year in Big 12 football? I don't.
Yeah, I think that really the only thing you can take away from both of those schedules, I mean, you can break down like the number of home games in a row or when the bye weeks fall. Like, that's really the only way that I think that right now, at least, you can take a look at these schedules and get at least somewhat of an idea on the strength of schedule. Like, you look at KU, for example, and like they start off in their brand new stadium, like 4 out of their first 5 games are at home. They get a bye week before they play K-State. Like, there are a couple of things, that are in there that I think that are advantageous for KU. But then at the same time, Kansas State, I think they've got a pretty favorable schedule as well. Like, I didn't look at either one of these teams and their schedules and think, okay, like this is going to be, this is an unfair schedule for either one of them. I think it looks good for both.
But TJ, like, is there, like, what is the one you ducked? Like, that's what I mean. Like, who's that? You're not ducking anybody. You won't play everybody. We know that now. But it doesn't feel like in that league, like, oh, good, we get to play XYZ, or we don't have to play XYZ. Colorado's going to be down, so you don't have to play them. Arizona State's probably going to be good. Neither of them play Arizona State.
I was going to say, if you want to talk about ducking a team, they don't play the Big 12 champion from last year,
right,
which doesn't mean anything in this league.
That's what I mean, yeah. Good, so. Yeah, neither of them play Arizona State, which is pretty interesting. All right, we're going to come back. We're going to talk Super Bowl. We're just days away here. It's Sports Daily. Don't go away.
66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust. Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
It's the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood, written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message, so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say,
what is GMFB Overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
83101 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you
and inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
Hey, you can listen to KFH Radio for your chance at the ultimate trip to Vegas in March. Winning is easy. Just download the free Odyssey app, log in, and listen to KFH Radio. Listen each day for a minimum of 1 hour for your daily entry. It includes travel and accommodations for 4 to Las Vegas, plus $20,000 spending cash. Get all the info on the national contest right at kfhradio.com. Stay at the Circa Resort and Casino, Las Vegas's premium sports viewing destination, and visit the biggest March Hoops party at Stadium Swim. Welcome back into Sports Daily, everybody. It is a Thursday. It is the Thursday before the Super Bowl. One of the interesting storylines that has developed over the last month, and some people would say over the last 3 years, is this inside job of the referees for the Chiefs. And it's getting more play. It's not just conspiracy theorists. Now, it's being talked about, I think, much more nationally, so much so that Travis Kelce, when was asked, like, what's one question you would ask us? He said, why are you guys like feeding this fire? Yesterday, or early this knows yesterday, Jonathan Jones and others reporting that the NFL is testing state-of-the-art technology, it says, to help spot the football. Not sure yet when it could be implemented. That, of course, goes back to the Josh Allen play, and whether that is, not sure that would help in that kind of a play. My big thing is, why don't you just have replay assist all the time for missed calls? You go back to some of the face mask calls throughout football this year that were highly impactful that were missed. That's an easy go back and be like, yo, there was a face mask on that. We got to pull them back. Pass interference is always subjective. That won't be easy. Look, I don't think any of the three of us put much merit into this, obviously. However, you can't ignore the fact that because the Chiefs are always in the primetime games, they're always in the spotlight, they keep advancing, the microscope on them goes big, and these haters are there. It's a problem for the league that they can't just ignore it, right? Like, people are talking about it. There are a lot of people that legitimately think something's going on. That's integrity of the game stuff. Like, you can't mess around with that if you're the NFL. You have to nip that in the bud, and you have to be done with it immediately, Tommy, so that these conversations don't need to happen, because they're happening.
Well, here's the thing. I think people are so desperate to find something to explain why the Chiefs are winning, and why they've got this dynasty. This is not unlike what happened with the Patriots. I mean, everybody was on the backs of the Patriots, myself included at the time. There were things that were going on with the Patriots, Deflategate and Spygate. And you've got all of these controversies that go on throughout the course of the dynasty. And I think that that's just human nature, to think that there is something nefarious going on behind the scenes. We think about it, in our government, we think about it in our day-to-day lives. Whenever we're at work, we think about what's going on behind the scenes, who's pulling the strings behind us, why are they doing this? It just is a natural thing. The thing that is difficult for the Chiefs is that because there had been this history of the last dynasty actually having some scandalous things that were going on, I think that it makes it harder for the Chiefs to avoid, that kind of, controversy, or at least the question of some kind of impropriety going on because they've got this dynasty.
Yeah, maybe, but the NFL investigated both of those things. Like it never. You felt like Tom Brady got calls on roughing the passer, but there was never any love. It didn't feel like between Roger Goodell, Bill Belichick, and Tom Brady. Like they didn't like each other during that, and that was pretty obvious through it all. The Chiefs are chummy with everyone because that's their personality, TJ. Like it's not like they are not contrarian like that. There have been, it's not like they don't have their black eyes. You go back to Kareem Hunt the first time. You go back to Brett Reed. You go back to Rashee Rice this offseason. Frank Clark had some trouble. Like there's been trouble, but they've been able to continue to be this positive image for the league. Now that's because of the way the Chiefs handle it. Look, when it's out there, here's the problem for the league. When it's out there, now the microscope's on. People think this. So when you have close calls, like you do in every football game that's ever played, and the Chiefs are one of the most penalized teams in football. We all know that. We know that. But when you have just the shadow of a doubt in people's heads, now everything gets put under the microscope, and it just fans those flames, and it fans it and fans it and fans it. And that is a real problem. The league doesn't face a lot of challenges. Concussions are one. I do think this is one. Like you can't have this if you're the NFL. Because that will turn people away. Eventually, they'll be like, all right, I'm sick of this. They just want them to win anyway. I don't know. I just do the easy stuff. Just do the easy stuff with your league. Like, why don't you just replay everything in the boot? We already know you can do it. You do it on certain plays now anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember there was a stat that somebody pulled up. I think it was the ref of the AFC Championship. I don't know what his name was, but it was like the Chiefs have won every single game that this ref has called. And it's like, well, the Chiefs have won 80% of their games in the last decade. They've won a lot of games that a lot of refs have called. So I think that you're exactly right, Jacob. I think that if this was some 500 team, the Chiefs with Alex Smith, 8 years ago, whenever that was, that played at noon all the time, and they got these calls because it happens in every game. I watch a football game, and then you get on Twitter and you see screenshots, and it's like, well, look at this, and it's like when you're watching the game, I don't think about any of that. Like I don't obviously there's the face mask, like the Sam Darnold face mask and stuff is the one that I know that gets brought up all the time, Jacob, that you talk about. And like obviously there's some that are just gonna be blatant, but to keep your argument going here about the replay assist, I agree. I think that Rick just brought this up too. This is kind of what I'm getting the point to. I think that it turns into the argument in baseball with the balls and strikes a replay and challenging every single call. There is the reason that they don't want to do it is because baseball games are 3 hours. They used to be 3 hours, 4 hours long, and they didn't want to make them longer. So I think that for the blatant obvious ones, you can look at those, but then you're going to get into a thing about, wait, that might have been a hold. Hold on.
No. Let's not overthink this. Okay. We have the replay to see there was a missed call before the next play is run. If we as consumers have that replay, so can a room of officials that can buzz down and say, there's a face mask on that play. And then you don't have to talk about it. We see it. We all see it before the next play is run. There doesn't need to be a huddle. There doesn't need to be a stoppage in play. Somebody's looking at it. They see the replay. Well, there's a face mask. Hey, 15 yards, 95 on the defense face mask. Okay, throw the flag.
I think you got to be careful because I get that, but it's a slippery slope because then if you're looking at every time like Jawan Taylor on the line, like barely twitches, and they're replaying it after the play is done, and then you're constantly being moved back, for a false start that's like a borderline. Like a face mask is a face mask, right? Like that's something that you know what it is. A horse collar is a horse collar. There are some judgment calls. That's where I think this really gets, into the weeds on things, is because a lot of these plays are judgment type plays. D Ford lining up off sides in the AFC Championship game in 2019, that's not a judgment call. You can go back and you can look at that and you can see he's lined up off sides before the play even begins. But like a little twitch on the line, like that's technically a penalty. But if you're reviewing and replaying everything like that, then you're going to slow the game way down.
I don't think that, first of all, you can just start it with personal fouls because those are the most impactful and the easiest to do. Either it was a personal foul or it wasn't a personal foul. It can be done quickly. Let's see how that goes. Right? You just start with personal fouls, which would include roughing the passer. And look, that is the place where there is merit to what people, just like every great quarterback in the league is protected more so than other quarterbacks. Has been from the beginning of time, well, not since the beginning of time, but since they've really put an emphasis on this. Brady used it to his advantage. So does Mahomes. So does Matt Stafford. So
Aaron Rodgers, made a career off of the offsides and free play.
No, I don't mean the offsides. I mean the roughing the passer calls,
Yeah.
like selling those calls. Like, you better believe that if the great quarterbacks are anywhere near the sideline and you blow on them, they are going to look like they got hit by a freight train because they know they might get the call. Now, that makes people angry. Okay. It wouldn't make you angry if it was your quarterback. You'd say, oh, that's really smart, right?
Yeah.
Those are the kinds of things that you could very quickly, those personal foul calls, very quickly look at it and be like, nope, or yep, real quick, we're going to get an assist on that hit. All good. Or nope, he hit him in the head. That's a penalty. We're going back.
It's kind of the same thing it's kind of the same thing in basketball when you remember the players like that for a long time they would kick out their legs, to try to draw contact. It's kind of like that. It's kind of like in baseball, batters leaning over the plate to lean into a pitch, to get hit. Like, it's a couple of things like that where if it's happening to your team, like, okay, they're kind of savvy. Like they know how to do this and they're kind of savvy. But I get that it's infuriating with, the other teams and the fan bases. I get that.
But that's the problem for the league. You just there's an easy solution to a lot of it, and that's just what they're already doing. Just expand that a little bit. And could you imagine? I'm trying to think. Could you imagine, TJ, if we're watching an NBA basketball game at this point, and a player in a key moment had his foot on the line and they counted it as a 3 and then didn't go back and look at it? I mean, could you even imagine that? Could you imagine in baseball, if you had a fair or a foul call, not be able to quickly take a look and say, oh man, that's actually a foul ball? That kind of stuff is way impactful to the outcome of the game. And if you're not doing it as the league because you understand fans not believing that this is all copacetic is a problem, which of course it is, then do it because you have a lot of people with money on the line for some of these calls.
Do you remember, the absolute disaster that it was in the NFL when they did that experiment of reviewing pass interference calls?
Oh, it was horrible.
That's
a subjective call
with the league.
That's a subjective call.
Does anybody think that the targeting review in college football is a good thing? Because I think that's a disaster too.
Yeah, and that's the one Rick brings up. That one's trickier. I don't know I don't think you have to define it as targeting as much as did the player get hit in the head. But there's too much of it that's too easy, and just because you can test it in the preseason, do whatever you want to do, that doesn't mean you don't do anything. What you don't want is people talking about this the week of the Super Bowl. You don't want is the league this stuff, because now these referees are human. You don't think that's in the back of their head every time they got to pull a flag in this game? Of course it is. It's just a problem that doesn't have to be there. At least make the effort, TJ, to say, yeah, we get it. We're going to take a look at these roughing the passer calls. Start there, just there if you want to, or face mask calls. Yep, we're working on this. And that's to the point of all of this, TJ. They're saying now they may get some technology to help spot the ball. That would actually speed up the game. There's nothing that takes longer and is more boring than challenging the spot of the ball. Hate it.
I agree. It is a really weird part of the game. The fact that it is really kind of just human eye, and 90% of the time it's what we saw on the Josh Allen play. There was 22 bodies within 5 feet,
right,
trying to, and you don't know, it's the tush push. You don't know where they are. You're kind of just looking at Jalen Hurts' helmet and saying, well, he looks like he was over. So I don't know what the ball was. I don't know if he was. And that's the hard part about it. And that's the reason I know everybody always brings up the tennis ball argument. Whenever you watch tennis, they'll super slow-mo, show you the AI, where it landed on the line, in or out. And football, you can't really do that because every single camera that you would have will have 22 guys within 5 feet.
You put the chip, what they're doing, I believe, if I understand it right, they're going to put a chip in the football, and they're just going to track the chip of the football to see if it crossed the line. If they can do that, then in the scrum, you could actually see through it. You could actually see through the scrum. I think it sounds like it would be pretty helpful. Rick, always good commentary, says he likes the measurements. It creates the drama. They don't really do the measurements much anymore, Rick. Like that's become, and I agree with that, by the way. I totally agree that the chain gain and that drama, but they don't.
80-year-old men ringing it out.
Remember,
they don't do that as much anymore.
The note card that they put in,
so good.
Yeah,
but they don't do a lot of that anymore. So not as much as they used to. If you put a chip in that ball, and you just say, "Well, where did the chip go? Did it cross that line or not?" That's where, like, the tennis, that makes sense to me. Like, that doesn't even seem like that's very difficult.
In theory, obviously that makes a lot of sense where it's, GPS basically for more or less. The hard part is that I feel like it's just like we keep talking about, subjective. I know that there's the forward progress argument of, how far did he get before he didn't really go that much farther? Do we give it to them spot here? And so I think that, you look at this, and I imagine what I'm seeing in my head is what we see in tennis, and we're seeing all of the AI photographs of all the players and everything, and you see the ball moving, and then, like, do the refs look at that and they're like, well, it looks like he got stopped here and then he made a second push, but I'm going to call him down at this point, because I think that even then I think it can still be a little bit subjective. It's going to be the hard part. They're going to have to really define what is going to be the spot of the ball.
It's silly to me. I hate that there are people that legitimately think the fix is in. I say this all the time. If the fix is in, we all invest way too much time and energy, and that would be like the saddest news ever because of how much time and energy we say to this. Every league's great threat and biggest punishment is anything that challenges the integrity of its game. And no, I don't think Roger Goodell and Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift are sitting around like scheming up how this one's going to go. Come on now.
The stupidest thing about this whole discourse about the rigging of the games and the fixes in is that you really think that 31 other owners of the NFL are going to just be okay with one team getting all the calls?
Yes,
and these guys are billionaires. What's in it for them? There's nothing in it for them, for the Chiefs to have things rigged, and they're going to raise their hands about this. These guys are very powerful people and they make a lot of money. Like, why would they do that? It doesn't make any sense.
Look at Jerry Jones holding it together as long as he can to try and get one.
Exactly.
You think he's going to be okay knowing something? No, he's not.
For that reason. That's why I watch wrestling, the only real sport left in this country.
That's right. The only real sport that acknowledges the storylines, right? That's right. It sucks that it's the thing, but whatever. It's just one more storyline. And we did this exact same thing with the Patriots and Tom Brady. Like, the reality is, you have two quarterbacks that just happen to be the best at those little things that we can't define in figuring out ways to win games late. And that's all this is. These guys, but we've had it now for the last 25 years with these two that just are always there and always do that back-breaking thing that beats you. Not always, but you know what I mean? Like, that's the reality. We didn't really have that like this before. Now we've had it for 25 years of this. Since 2000, we've had this.
It cracks me up, Jacob. You brought this up, that of all of the, hate and the villain talk around the NFL, you brought this up, especially, I know that you said the Chiefs have their black eyes, but for Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, and Andy Reid, like, for those guys, like, they don't even try to do the villain thing, honestly. Like, they're all just these really chummy guys. And obviously, I think it may be a little Chiefs-colored glasses of being in Kansas and everything like that. But it's hilarious that it's the fact that it's these guys that are dating the superstar, pop star girlfriend that everybody loves, and Patrick Mahomes, who's in all these funny beer commercials, and it's just hilarious that these guys.
I'll tell you, as somebody who is not like that's friends groups expand outside of Chiefs fans, the hate is very real. Like, it's very real. That people do not like them at all.
I mean, every time that Andy Reid's on TV, saying bundle Rooski, that hate just gets a little bit more.
Could you imagine Bill Belichick being in a bundle Rooski?
No chance. It's like now you've got Nick Saban doing all these TV commercials, and it's amazing.
Everybody loves him.
Everybody loves him. Like, Belichick could be the same way. But with Andy
We
Reid,
love
that
Belichick. Belichick. I was thinking of Nick Saban. Saban's not that good in those commercials. He's fine.
He's great. He's fantastic in those commercials.
He's all right. Andy Reid's better. All right, we'll come back. More Sports Daily. It's Albrocht. It's Cleveland. It's Castor. It's a Thursday. Don't go away.
66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust. Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
It's the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say,
What is GMFB Overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
310-01 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you
and inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospitalized from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
everybody. It is Sports Daily. Jake Ballbrock, TJ Cleveland, Tommy Castor, three-man booth here today for you. Glad to be here with you. Thanks to Prairie Fire Coffee for keeping us fueled up each and every morning. TJ needs lots, pretending like it was a trip to Manhattan last night that kept him up late, not like he'd have been playing video games up until bedtime anyway. But, you know, it is what it is. It's part of the territory.
Midnight hits a lot different when you sit in that car for 2 hours and just.
Yes, it does.
Just think about
yes,
that. Yes,
it does. I can't tell you how many, and I there are parts of being on the road that I miss. 3 a.m. drives back from an 8 p.m. big game Monday tip-off are not one of them.
I always tell people being a TV sports reporter in the Wichita market is unlike any job in the world with the amount of windshield hours you're probably going to put in.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, if it's constantly on the road, you guys keep powering through because we love the coverage. Welcome back in, everybody. Coverage of the Super Bowl continues. We are talking about everything up until the big game. Injury news yesterday, limited in practice for the Eagles. Jalen Carter, significant. He's sick, but I would imagine, like Tommy, he's going to be able to power right through that.
Power right through it.
Yeah, there's the Tommy and Jalen Carter. The efforts are similar.
He and I get compared a lot just in general in life.
Right. Yep. Kenneth Gainwell, limited, significant. Concussion makes it significant. Brandon Graham, Devontae Smith, all limited. I would imagine all of them play, but those are 4 pretty big-time players. Everybody else on their list went in full. For the Chiefs, it's, Tommy, I know you hate to hear this, it's Sky Moore. You know, I know you were ready for them to bring him out. And
he would score a touchdown. That's the most Sky Moore thing to do.
Yeah.
We're going to get Sky Moore, Justin Ross, like who can Peyton Hendershot. We're going to get a weird one.
I saw the Peyton Hendershot prop yesterday. I don't. So that it brings up something interesting. We're tongue in cheek. Nobody expects Sky Moore to have much of an impact in this game. But I don't actually think one of these out. I don't think the Chiefs can afford to get that gimmicky in this game. I think it's not that because they always do it. It's definitely a part of what they do. It's not like a desperate thing when they do it, but they have so many other options. It's hard for me to even imagine the scenario where one of those kinds of players get on the field outside of injury. Like just at your base personnel, if you're running 12, you've got your 2 tight ends. If you're running 11, you've got 3 wide receivers. They've got about 5 of them. So, like, I don't what formation even lets any of these guys into the game? They have, I mean, how many do they even have? They've got the 3 running backs who are always pass options. They've got 4 wide receivers that are always pass options and 2 tight ends that are like significant options in the pass game. These other guys aren't going to get on the field. I don't think. I don't think they see the field in this game. I don't think the Chiefs are drawing one up for Sky Moore because if the Eagles see him come on the field, they'll be like, the hell's he doing out here? Somebody watch this guy. Like, he shouldn't be here. Like, it doesn't feel like this is that kind of game to me.
Can I tell you also, I mean, when you're looking at the injury reports for me, the one name that I'm keeping the closest eye on either team is Devontae Smith because he's played the Chiefs 3 times in his career. And he's gone for 122, 7 for 100, and 6 for 99. So he's had 3 great games against Steve Spagnuolo's defense when he's played the Chiefs. And so I know that, like, I guarantee that they're scheming up ways to try to stop him. But, you know, so many defenses are going to keep an eye out for Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown. And you've got a talent like Devontae Smith that he's just kind of hanging out there as the 3rd or 4th option as a total offensive threat. And he's lit up the Chiefs historically when he's played them. So I'm keeping an eye on him more than anybody else on the injury report.
He's going to play. I mean, he's one of the sturdiest, even though he doesn't look like it. He's built about like me. He doesn't miss. This is the first year he's ever missed any time at all for anything. And it's this year. Like one of the remarkable things about him is that he stays on the field despite his small frame. But yeah, he's a factor. He's for sure a factor. The entire Eagles passing game, I think they would like to, TJ, be more of a factor than it's getting credit for. All the attention's on Saquon Barkley. All of it. The Chiefs, they're good run stoppers. Like the Eagles, if the Eagles beat the Chiefs, Here's what I'd say about it. So I think this is all razor thin. If the Eagles beat the Chiefs, it's not going to be because Saquon Barkley went ham. He might get his 100 yards and do all that kind of stuff, but this isn't going to be Saquon Barkley went ballistic and beat the Chiefs if the Chiefs lose. It will be Jalen Hurts did, both on the ground and through the air. I think that's the Eagles' path. Barkley's going to get something. Like, he's Barkley. But it's not going to be like what we saw in the 2 previous playoff games with him.
Yeah, I think back to Super Bowl 57, Saquon Barkley wasn't there, and Jalen Hurts almost beat the Chiefs by himself with, DeAndre Swift as was running back, and that's the testament to how good their passing game is there. They have, they're a really good team. I don't know. I keep going back and forth about what I expect in this game. I hope for a viewing standpoint, we get a classic Chiefs, scoring 40-plus points in this game and a shootout. But I don't know. It could be a grind them out kind of game. It could be a high-scoring game. Either way, as we keep saying, Saquon Barkley is going to be involved in some way, shape, or form, whether that's, just grinding out a possession game like we just watched the Chiefs kind of play against the Bills, or the Chiefs play against everybody. They love playing that kind of brand of football. So I don't know. I keep going back and forth. I don't know how I'm going to bet this game, if we're going to talk about that or anything. But I keep talking myself into the Eagles just somehow getting this done, just because of their offense and the Chiefs maybe not being able to keep up with that.
Yeah, I don't know. I would be more worried about that, I think, if the Chiefs weren't finally healthy, because I think the Chiefs being healthy now, like, we have to go back, and that's what made. So I went back real early in this, and I was like, well, let's just stack them up, side by side where they ranked this year. And the Chiefs are kind of middle of the pack everywhere, and the Eagles are at the top of the league everywhere too. But the reality, I think, for the Chiefs is, since they've been healthy, like fully healthy, you go back to the Houston game, 27 points, 29 points against Pittsburgh. We can all throw away Denver. 23 against Houston in a game they didn't try very hard offensively. And then 32 against Buffalo. They're scoring a lot by doing a little. They haven't thrown it more than 26 times, I don't think, in either playoff game. So I do think the potency of the Chiefs offense is back. I think they can keep up in a track meet. I probably agree with the masses on this game getting over. We'll talk to PJ Glasser about it in the next hour. Are we still at 49.5 on that over? But just because, like, it's really difficult to imagine this game being close and not going over. And I think everybody on the planet thinks this is going to be a close game, Tommy. Like, if this game is close, like we all think it's going to be, at some point there's going to be a tit for tat, and the scoring will start adding up somewhere.
Yeah, can they keep up if the score is in the upper 20s to mid 30s? Yeah, for sure. Because they've shown that in the last few weeks. If Philly puts up 55 against the Chiefs like they did in the NFC Championship game, yeah, that's not going to happen. But no, like, I think that when you say track meet, I think you have to be a little bit, you have to understand really what that means. Like, if they're going to score 40 plus, that's going to be, I think, a little bit more than what the Chiefs are going to be able to do.
The Chiefs aren't giving up 40 plus points. I just mean, like, track meet in the sense of you get into the second half and it'll start going score for score. You know what I mean? Like, because that's what we see all the time, especially with the Chiefs. Like, that's what you start to see. And we know Spags will take his chances to create that big play, right? And that may bite him in the butt. So I don't know. I just, there hasn't been in this run for the Chiefs an individual game probably that I've been more excited for than this one. I think this is the most interesting of the games because the Chiefs are the favored team, but they're not the, like, on paper better team here. Philadelphia is as complete as you ever get in the NFL. Their offensive line is great. Their defensive line is great. They've got the best running back in the league. They've got 2 Pro Bowl receivers. They've got a good tight end. Their pass rush is great. Their corners are great. Like, you don't get more complete than this. You don't. And I'm picking the Chiefs, so don't misunderstand what I'm saying. But this will be, like, of all the games going into it on paper, seemingly the toughest task for the Chiefs, which is wild to think about because all these Super Bowl games are close with them. Like, they're all close, except for the one they lost.
It cracks me up. Why do you think the Chiefs are favored? It's because the same reason that everybody that's betting on the Chiefs is betting on the Chiefs, because they win Super Bowls. They've done this, and I think that Vegas is tired of getting burned by it. I honestly think that everybody that is betting on this game is honestly thinking about it like they're going to a roulette table in a casino. Red's hit the last 2 years. It's got to hit again. Or you're thinking, gambler's fallacy. This one's got to be black. There's no way they win 3 in a row.
Isn't that the most ludicrous thing about the whole rigged conversation? Is like, if you really think it's rigged, then bet on the Chiefs always. Make money off of it instead of complaining about it. Go and bet it and make a bunch of money.
Except they're not a good cover team, and we all know that.
Right.
I mean, that's
lose a lot of money if you bet on the Chiefs.
Yeah. Well, just to imagine 350-pound freak athletes being able to control things in that way for 3 hours over a football is so silly. We'll get all the betting talk in the next hour. PJ Glasser's coming in, and we're going to go through the props. We're going to go through all the fun stuff in this one. We kind of took a bird's eye. I think he's with us on the Chiefs. Can't remember where he is on the over-under. But I do think, man, 49's a lot though for a Chiefs game. 49's a lot for a Chiefs game. They got it in the Buffalo game, and that's kind of the reason. I'm the same. Hey, let me ask you this real quick. Do I like both of you? Tommy, you can go first. Are the Eagles better or worse than Buffalo?
I think the Eagles are better than Buffalo.
TJ?
I think the Eagles have a better roster than Buffalo, but I think that Buffalo is better at winning football games than the Eagles are.
I think I agree. And I think there's a reason for that, and it's Josh Allen is better than Jalen Hurts. Now,
Saquon Barkley is better than everybody.
Yeah, but James Cook's really
James Cook is really good. Yeah. But Saquon's better than anybody else.
What I'm saying is, like, if it comes, like, I don't know that I think that Philadelphia is any more or less of a challenge than Buffalo is or was. They're probably a little more talented on paper, but they don't have Josh Allen. And Jalen Hurts is interesting because I don't think Jalen Hurts is anywhere near the best quarterback in football, but man, he's really good at what this team needs him to do. And right now he seems healthy, but it's not Josh Allen. He's not Josh Allen. And so can Spags get to him? That's kind of it for me. And I hate saying that because I like Jalen Hurts. I don't like the Eagles, but I like Jalen Hurts, and I like his story, and he's way better than I thought he would be, and probably everybody else, and I think that's really cool and awesome. He's not as good as Josh Allen. And so it really does come down to, can he make all the plays he's going to need to make and some superhero plays that he's going to need to make in this game, like the chances of that? That's as much of why I'm picking the Chiefs as anything else.
I think that just to keep the argument going here, if we're trying to compare AFC Championship to Super Bowl, imagine if you had an all-star team of the Eagles players and the Bills players put together on one. You would have the Eagles with Josh Allen at quarterback.
Yeah, I mean,
more or less every position would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Which position on the field outside of Josh Allen would you give the advantage to Buffalo? I agree. But that's how much quarterback matters. That's why it's nice to have Mahomes. All right, we'll come back. Another hour of Sports Daily coming your way.
66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust. Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, Tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Is the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say,
What is GMFB overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of. It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now. 31001 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems
Why are they hiding it?
and real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issue a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
Now, from Wichita's most listened to sports radio, 97.5 and 1240 KFH. This is Sports Daily with Jacob Albrock and Tommy Kester.
All right, welcome back in, everybody. It is Sports Daily. We are glad to be with you for another hour here on the program. It's a good day. We're getting close to the Super Bowl. We're going to be, we're going to be talking a little more Super Bowl here with our betting insider. We're going to be talking a little K-State, the K-State insider, Tim Fitzgerald. That's all coming up at this hour. Let's give you a little HTO right now. If you would like to win some HTO, iced tea, or iced or hot coffee, you can get one of each by texting the keyword TEA right now to the short code 20357. These will be good for either Wichita location or in Derby. You can enter once per day. Message and data rates apply. Again, that's an HTO giveaway. T to the short code 20357. We come back, TJ. If you missed his debrief of K-State last night, the women, with a top 10 win over TCU at home, you can go back and listen to that on the Odyssey app. We're continuing to get you ready for the Super Bowl here. We were talking right before we took that last break about the difference between Philadelphia and Buffalo. And I agree with TJ. Like, if you took roster to roster, and you could do this honestly with just about any team, maybe outside of, I don't know, the Ravens. Like, you would take the Eagles in almost every category, but then there's quarterback. And it brings up the discussion of Jalen Hurts. Tommy, is Jalen Hurts one of the top elite quarterbacks in this league? Does he fit the criteria of essentially Hall of Fame quarterbacks winning Super Bowls almost 80% of the time, or whatever, 85, whatever it is? Does he fit that? It's kind of the same thing we had with 49ers. First, it was Jimmy Garoppolo when the Chiefs beat him. Then it was Brock Purdy. These teams they're playing in the Super Bowl, the one time they did play that kind of quarterback, it was Tom Brady. We all know what happened. Is Jalen Hurts that kind of quarterback? I don't know that I think he is, but he's really good.
I mean, he made his way into a second Super Bowl in 3 years. And, that's the thing that I think that everybody is, enamored and talking about for good reason, this Chiefs dynasty and the fact that they're going for 3 in a row and all of that. What gets lost in the shuffle is you've got Jalen Hurts in his second Super Bowl in 3 years. Now, he didn't win the last time, and, who knows what'll happen on Sunday, but like Joe Burrow hasn't done that. Lamar Jackson hasn't done that. Josh Allen hasn't done that. Justin Herbert hasn't done that. Like nobody else other than Patrick Mahomes, like nobody else is doing that other than him and Jalen Hurts right now.
I don't know, TJ. Jalen Hurts just seems, and I'd have to go back. He's good enough to win a Super Bowl. He is, right? Like, I think we all agree on that. But is he one of these best quarterbacks in the league? I don't think he is.
I don't think he is, but I want to bring this up, and I know we talked about this. I think like the last time I was on the show, we were talking about Super Bowl quarterbacks and the stat of you basically have to be a Hall of Famer to win a Super Bowl outside of a couple anomalies. But I think in the same breath, I mean, if Jalen Hurts if they won Super Bowl 57, I feel like Jalen Hurts would be talked as a top 5 quarterback in the league. And I think that I don't think like Brock Purdy, I think that's stretching it. But I think if Brock Purdy wins that Super Bowl last year, I think that there's no question he's going to get a contract extension with the 49ers. Now nobody knows if he's going to come back after this one. I think that it's such a twofold argument and a two-way street that if Jalen Hurts wins this one, it's like, is he a Hall of Famer? Is he going to be good enough to win a Super Bowl? I think if he wins a Super Bowl, he's going to be talked about as a Hall of Famer.
I agree. I think that's fair. I think that's fair. But if you go back and look at his season, he threw for 18 touchdowns and 5 interceptions, didn't even clear 3,000 yards. He rushed for 630, and we all know the rushing touchdowns get inflated. But it wasn't like otherworldly. I mean, like it just wasn't. And honestly, like he had in 23 last year, he threw 15 interceptions to 23 touchdowns. It's strange because he's not the best running quarterback. He's nowhere close to the best throwing quarterback. But he does what he needs to do. Normally, he doesn't throw a lot of interceptions. Outside of last year, he's never thrown more than 10. He completes a high percentage of his passes. His rating is fine. His rushing is good. The rushing touchdown numbers are just absurd because of the tush push. So I don't know. Like, we watch him play, and it feels like in these big moments, is he going to be able to go do the Superman stuff that the other really great quarterbacks in this league are capable of doing over and over again in a game where it's tight late? That's where he's got the most to prove to me. Like that's where he has to step up and be able to do that. And it's why I've said him running the ball is the greatest threat to the Chiefs in this game. Is he going to be able to make those plays late? I mean, that's the reason I'm picking the Chiefs. It's the Mahomes-Hurts thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure that he's going to be the one to necessarily make those plays in the same way that we see Mahomes making those
You're not
plays.
giving it to Saquon in the fourth quarter with less than 2 minutes, trailing by 7.
They're
With
not.
a minute left on that drive that you got to have, you're going to run the ball? No, nobody does that.
With the best running back in the league who can break off big runs left and right. Like, I'm not saying that they constantly are going to like hand him the rock, but what I am saying is that I think that Saquon, more than any other running back in the league, he's a different kind of running back. He can break off those big runs, get out of bounds, stop the clock if he needs to, and break off a 50 or 60-yard run when they have to have it.
But if, like, imagine the scenarios where we've seen the biggest moments for these great quarterbacks. It's usually no timeouts, right? You've got to get into field goal range, or you've got to do all of those kinds of things. That the likelihood of that presenting itself, I would say, is high in this game. So no, you can't just give it to Saquon in a situation where you have to throw it. Everybody knows you're throwing it. You have to throw it. You have to make it up the field. Are you going to be able to, up against a Spags defense, when the entire planet knows you have to now cover 50 yards and you have to throw the ball? Is he going to be able to do that? That, I think, is the big prove it thing he's still got to do in a big game. And it doesn't even have to be the Super Bowl, right? Like it, and he may have done it. Obviously, I haven't watched every Eagles game, but not to the degree or the level that these upper tier, like really elite passers do. I don't know if I think he's capable. It's going to be tough for him. And that's the challenge for him in this game. Now, he can take off and run. We know that. And his wide receivers can spread the field enough that that's a very dangerous element to his game in this game. But can it happen in the fourth quarter?
I think that the part, you talk about how well he is at running the football and everything, and how that, doesn't hinder his ability to do this late in games and his passing ability to go win these things. But I think that the thought that I just kept thinking about is just, I feel like that makes what Lamar Jackson does that much more impressive. The fact that, Lamar can do that. So I agree. I don't think that he's really had, I don't know. I agree. I haven't watched many Eagles games, but at least in the playoff games and the big high profile games, I can't ever recall a big Jalen Hurts comeback drive or anything of that nature. I think that the Eagles, but I also agree, I think that's a twofold street as well. I think that the Eagles don't find themselves in that situation very much either.
Right. That's right. They don't this year, but do you think they're not going to in this game? I mean, what are the chances?
They have to.
What are the chances this game doesn't have insanely significant drives on both sides into the fourth quarter and later?
I think there will be, for sure. But I mean, keep in mind that the Eagles were in this position 2 years ago and didn't get it done. You don't go out and sign Saquon Barkley this offseason if you're not intending on giving him the ball when it matters the most late in a game in the Super Bowl against the team that you lost to 2 years ago. Like, so I understand that for 99% of teams out there, yeah, they're probably going to air it out if you're down 7 late in the fourth quarter. But you don't go and make probably the most impactful free agent signing in the NFL in the last few years to not give him the ball in crunch time when it matters the most. So I don't think it's a Jalen Hurts thing. I think it's a Saquon Barkley thing, and that could easily be the difference maker.
But the game script can take Saquon. I'm talking about, let's say you're down 3 and you've got to cover 40 yards in less than 30 seconds and you don't have a timeout. You're not going to give the ball to Saquon Barkley in that scenario. So it has to be Hurts making plays at that point. And that happens in these games all the time. All the time. It comes down to the final drive. Look, Philadelphia would love to come out, establish Saquon Barkley, get a big enough lead where they don't have to worry about this. Obviously, they've got to still do that. The chances of them doing that are low. So I'll just put it this way. I think this game will come down to a big play or plays made or not made by Jalen Hurts late in the game. That's, to me, how this game will be determined.
I think that the best way that I can put it basically is that Saquon Barkley can win this game for the Eagles, but Saquon Barkley can't lose this game for the Eagles. Jalen Hurts can win this game or lose it for the Eagles.
I agree with that. Yeah, and the Eagles would like to have him available in the fourth. That means they've got the lead. But what if they don't, right? And history tells us in these kinds of games, it does go back and forth late. It's going to be fascinating. He's probably got the most. If he can win this game, to your point, TJ, yes, I think he's going to have more of a path by the end of it when he has 200 damn rushing touchdowns. Like, how do we equate that when we're trying to stack up resumes? Yeah, he'll have a chance to fit that criteria we talk about, but he's got to win it to be able to do that. And this isn't their only time. I mean, these teams could rematch next year for all we know. They're both ascending. All right, we'll come back. PJ Glasser is going to join us, our betting insider. We've also got Tim Fitzgerald in, our K-State insider this hour. It is Sports Daily. Don't go away.
66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust. Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
It's the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
What is GMFB Overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of... It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
31001 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
And now, digging deeper with the teams you follow, it's another Sports Daily Insider interview on KFH.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's Sports Daily here on KFH. Tommy Castor, TJ Cleland on the line is the host of the Tailgate Kickoff, and Odyssey Sports Betting Insider PJ Glasser. Insider calls are presented by BetMGM, so go check out all of the latest lines today on the BetMGM app. Also, be sure to catch Tailgate Kickoff live Saturdays at 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern Time on the newly rebranded BetMGM Network on the Odyssey app. PJ, welcome into Sports Daily on this Thursday. We're getting closer and closer, man. Only a few days away from the big game.
Yeah, guys, great to be with you. It should be an awesome game on Sunday. We get the rematch of 2 years ago, and every time we get to this point, it's like you're just done talking about the game. You kind of just want to see him play, So excited for Sunday. Should be a good one.
We're getting to a point to where, breaking down things like the injury reports and, how does the game script play out, especially early on in the game for both of these teams from a betting perspective. I mean, we're looking at a relative coin flip at this point. I know right now we've seen lines hovering around 1 to 1.5. Where are you seeing things move and where do you think a good angle right now is?
I think if you like the Eagles, guys, I would bet them now, for anybody listening. I think there's a better chance that before kickoff, the more money comes in on the Eagles. This line is closer to a pick 'em rather than the Chiefs getting out to 2.5 point favorites. So they opened up 1.5. It stayed 1.5 up to this point. Maybe it still stays at 1.5, but I think there's a chance that we could see some Eagles money come in and this line closes at a pick 'em. So if you like Philly, I think now would probably be the time to buy in on them plus 1.5, because I think there's a chance that maybe they aren't plus 1.5 around kickoff. And then the total, we saw that at 49.5 pretty much last week. A couple days ago, dropped down to 48.5. It stayed there. I would think that total's pretty much going to stay at 48.5. It seems like a lot of people, like the general public, are betting the over in this game, right? It's the Super Bowl. It's the last football game we'll have for a while. People want to see points. These teams played a shootout 2 years ago. We just saw Philly drop 55 in the NFC Championship game. Kansas City scored 30 plus for the first time all year. So I think a majority of people are betting the over, but a lot of the professional money, the sharp money, they're betting the under. So I would think that's going to stay at 40.5. The movement, guys, that I think we might see, though, is Philadelphia potentially. This game could close as a pick'em.
PJ, you're exactly right about the Super Bowl talk. It feels like the only part of Super Bowl talk that's fun at this point is whenever you're in New Orleans. Everybody around here is just like, can we just play the stinking game already? Whenever you have this break, 2 weeks in between these games, it feels like there's a lot of time to think about it, talk yourself out of things. It feels like Vegas is talking themselves out of things. Do you feel like that as well? I was all in on the Chiefs after they punched their ticket. Now it's just like, the more I sit here and think about it, the more I like the Eagles.
100%. I really haven't made too many bets. Generally, guys, like when you're dealing with any sport or any bet, if you like the over, you bet that early, right? If you want to bet an under, you wait a little bit later. So there were very few things I bet early on, just knowing that the prices would get way too inflated. so many people are going to be betting on this game, obviously. And, a lot of these lines are going to be inflated. So just kind of waiting to see maybe how high these certain lines go. Saquon's the first one that comes to mind, right? I mean, we saw how much his rushing totals ballooned against Washington, and he didn't hit his rushing yards. He didn't hit his rushing attempts. You wonder if the same thing's going to happen on Sunday. So that to me is always the most interesting point of the Super Bowl, with how popular betting is becoming, with how available it is now in all these states across the country. And, usually the Super Bowl is the kind of game where people who really don't bet during the regular season, or maybe even some of the playoff games, they're going to bet in the Super Bowl, and it's going to drive these lines up. So I'm in no rush to bet this game. A lot of my bets are going to happen on Saturday night, Sunday morning, to see if I can get, bet the under on a lot of these bets, because they're just going to be inflated.
Let's talk a little bit more about Saquon, PJ. You mentioned how he didn't hit his rushing total last week in the NFC Championship game. And we've seen the over-under for his rushing yards lower than his average throughout the course of the season. It's at right around 111.5, that over-under line for his rushing yards. But he's been averaging around 130. We know that the Chiefs have a relatively stout run defense, but they haven't faced Saquon this year. Saquon is in a different league of his own, basically, around the NFL. What do you think we're going to be looking at as far as his usage and his production in the Super Bowl?
So I think the rushing yards and rushing attempts are too tough for me to get involved with. The market I like the best for Saquon is the longest rush. I like the under, which is contrarian. A lot of people are going to want to bet the over, but you said it. I mean, the Chiefs have a stout run defense, and I mean, you guys would know better than me, but it just feels like watching Kansas City, they just don't give up big runs, Like they'll give up a 9-yard run, a 13-yard run, maybe a 16-yard run, but they're not giving up 30, 40, 60-yard runs that it seems like Saquon gets every single week. So, you give Spags 2 weeks to prepare. They know they're not going to stop Barkley, but they can try to contain him and make sure, again, he doesn't have those game-breaking runs. And I think that's what they're going to do. Philly, it's funny, against Washington, they threw the ball way more than I think a lot of us expected, right? There was so much talk about, Jalen's banged up. How effective is he going to be? Doesn't even matter. Just give Saquon the ball 30 times. And they actually threw the ball a lot more than I think a bunch of us were expecting. I think the same is going to happen in the Super Bowl. I think Philly's going to throw the ball a little bit more than we all expect. So because of that, I don't want to bet Saquon's rushing yards, his attempts, anything like that. I think there's value, though, on that longest rush. Right now on BetMGM, under 23.5, and it's plus money. So I like that bet. It feels like Saquon's going to have a run of like 17, 18 yards. I don't know if he gets to 24, 25, 30 yards. So I like his longest under rush, 23.5.
PJ, I'm not going to sit here and ask you about the halftime show bets or the Gatorade or anything like that. But in the Super Bowl, they do pull out all the stops. You can get some pretty fun novelties and everything. I think at Super Bowl 57, I believe I got something. I think I got the first touchdown score over jersey number. And I was like, it's got to be the Chiefs, like MVS and Travis Kelce. So have you paid attention to any of these? I'm looking right now. You can get a flea flicker, yes, at plus 250. You got any novelties you like?
I like that. Yeah, the novelties are awesome. It's always what makes this game. A couple that I love that you can bet on BetMGM. The largest lead in the game, 13.5 points. I like the under. I think this is going to be played pretty close throughout, right? Kansas City, we know they love playing one-score games. Their offense this year just has not been as high-powered as we've seen throughout the years, where they're really blowing teams out. Philadelphia, I think, has the better chance, actually, of blowout potential in this game. But do I think they're going to blow out the Chiefs? I do not. I understand the last 2 Super Bowls that Kansas City's played in, they have been trailing by double digits. That's fine. They can be trailing by 10, 11 points in this game, but then I think they're going to come back. So I like the under 13.5. And then in the Super Bowl, fellas, I always bet, will there be an octopus at 14-1? For people that don't know the octopus, the same guy to score a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. I just always think that's fun. And with Philly, it's kind of a good team to bet it, right?
Yeah.
Like, Hurts on the tush push at the 1. Maybe we get an offside on a field goal attempt, put it at the 1 again, and Hurts goes in for the tush push. So
I think
there's
that
some
hit
market.
in Super Bowl 57.
It did. I think it hit last year. Yeah.
He did hit that in Super Bowl 57. So you can shop around. You can bet Jalen to score the octopus specifically at 20-1. But I just think betting it in general at 14-1. I always like doing that in the Super Bowl.
Let's talk TD scores, PJ. When you look at the Chiefs and you look at what they've done in past Super Bowls, I know it can be really tempting, to bet on the top guys, to look at throwing it on Travis Kelce or, Kareem Hunt running the football, Patrick Mahomes, whatever. But you go back to the last time these two teams played in the Super Bowl, it was Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney getting into the end zone for the Chiefs. Last year, McCole Hardman had a touchdown catch, and he was way far down the depth chart at that point for Kansas City. You look at the guys who are further down the depth chart that could get into the end zone for Kansas City. You can get Juju Smith-Schuster. You can get Noah Gray. You can even get DeAndre Hopkins. And, of course, he's not way down the depth chart, but you can get those three guys at 30-1 right now, all three of them for touchdown scores. Do you like any of those guys? How do you think that the Chiefs will get into the end zone?
So I think the guy that I would look at that nobody's talking about that's way down the board is Samaje Perine. I think that's the guy I would look at. Of the guys that you were talking about, I think DeAndre Hopkins would be the best bet. But I think for this game, I think Perine's really interesting. So Philadelphia's obviously got an excellent secondary, maybe the best in the NFL. We know Kansas City's lacking at receiving weapons. Obviously, they're hurting without Rashee Rice. Hollywood's come back, hasn't probably been the guy that they were hoping for. You figure Vic Fangio is going to have a good game plan for Kelce. He's going to do his best to take away Xavier Worthy. So outside of that, who's the guy, right? And I'm looking right now at BetMGM. Perine's reception prop is over 1.5 at plus 165. Guys, he's had 2 or more receptions in 11 games this season. And I think there are 2 things that could work out for us in this. One is the game script. If Philly starts fast, then Kansas City's going to have to play a little bit from behind. That means more throwing and more snaps for Perine because obviously he's the best receiving back of the 3. And then also just the personnel because Philly's corners are so good. Quinyon Mitchell, Darius Slay, Cooper DeJean. It's going to be tough for Mahomes to consistently hit his wide receivers on the outside. We saw Jaden Daniels consistently in that NFC Championship game have to throw it to Ertz for 5 or 6 yards or have to dump it down to his running backs. So I like the value on Perine over receptions. And I think his anytime touchdown at 10-1 is worth a look too. So of the guys you mentioned, Tommy, I would lean Hopkins of those receivers. But if you're asking me for kind of an off-the-radar guy that I like, I think this Perine could make an impact on the Super Bowl.
PJ, when I brewed my coffee this morning, I think we were going to be talking about Samaje Perine touchdowns on the radio today. While we're talking about running backs, though, the Chiefs, since Isaiah Pacheco has come back, it's been a really interesting story to cover locally here of who's the running back one? Because it seems like it's Kareem Hunt right now. Do you agree with that? Would you lean more on Hunt props than Pacheco props?
For sure. He definitely has been the guy. Perine just has not, I'm still talking about Perine. Pacheco has not looked right since he's come back from injury, right? And he was so good for Kansas City when they won the Super Bowl last year. It looked like he was poised for a big season, and then obviously he gets hurt, and he's just never been able to work his way back. Hunt's been the guy when they've been in goal-to-go situations. He's kind of been the guy that they've leaned on for short yardage. So Pacheco's totals are so low right now, and nobody wants to bet him, that really all it takes is for him to break 1 or 2 runs, and he could go over his rushing yards. But I think it would be, if you're asking me to choose between the two, it would be Hunt over Pacheco. Pacheco, you're looking at anywhere from 5 to 7 carries, where Kareem Hunt, you're looking at anywhere from 11 to 17 or 18. So I just think the boom or bust potential with Pacheco is too much for me not to get involved, whereas Hunt, you're going to get more of a steady dose of carries with him.
You mentioned a few minutes ago in the NFC Championship game, PJ, how the Eagles threw the ball a lot more than people had expected. And that's an area of their game that I know that, everybody's focused on Saquon and what he can do and Jalen Hurts running the football. But they've got A.J. Brown, and they've got a guy who has lit up the Chiefs in the 3 times that he's played against them, and Devontae Smith, who has almost had 100 yards receiving in all 3 of them. He was 1 yard short in one of the games. Otherwise, he would be over 100 in all 3 matchups against Steve Spagnuolo's defense. I know Devontae Smith was on the injury report this week for the Eagles. I'm sure he'll play, but he's been a guy that has, really lit up Kansas City's secondary over the 3 times they played. Do you like any of his props?
Tommy, I love his props. Devontae Smith is going to determine for me whether or not I have a good Super Bowl or not. I went heavy on Devontae Smith. I bet a lot of his props for everything you're saying. He's performed great against Kansas City in the past. He had 7 catches for 100 yards when these teams played in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Not only that, guys, but you just go back and look at when he was at college at Alabama, when he played in the 2 national title games. He was the guy that caught the 2nd and 26 pass from Tua in overtime against Georgia. And then the year he won the Heisman against Ohio State, he had 12 catches for 215 and 3 touchdowns. So Devontae Smith in the 3 biggest games of his life has made incredible impact plays or is balled out. So, and now he's got a great matchup against Kansas City. You would figure McDuffie's going to be on A.J. Brown for most of the game. That should open up opportunities for Devontae Smith. So my favorite Devontae Smith prop is probably longest reception over 19.5 yards. I think that's the best bet, but I love his over receiving yards. I bet anytime touchdown plus 275. I bet 2 or more touchdowns at 22-1 just because I like those prices. But yeah, we're all trying to figure out, right? Like, who's the skill position guy that's going to have the biggest game? Is it going to be Kelsey? Is it going to be Worthy, Saquon? A lot of people like Goddard because the Chiefs don't do well against tight ends. But I think it's going to be a Devontae Smith game. That's the guy I'm on for Sunday.
Couple minutes left here, PJ. Anything else we haven't talked about? Any other bets that you like?
Yeah, I like Mahomes over passing attempts in this game, guys. He's played in 4 Super Bowls, and 3 of them he's had 40 or more pass attempts. It's at 36.5. Andy Reid knows, biggest game of the year, you put the ball in the hands of your best player, right? And we see in Mahomes' career, he scrambles more in the playoffs, right? So obviously, when you put the ball in Mahomes' hands, you got a chance of either completing a pass or you have a chance of him running. He's thrown 1 interception in his last 9 playoff games. He just does such a good job of taking care of the football. So the Chiefs are trying to make history. They're trying to go for a 3-peat. I don't think they run the ball as much as we've seen this season or even as much as we've seen this postseason. I think they lean on number 15 and, they just live with the results. So I like over 36.5 attempts for Pat Mahomes. I think the rushing yards is another good look too, going over 29.5. He had 40 against Buffalo. I could see him going over 30 again against Philadelphia.
Well, we're almost there, PJ. Only a couple of days to go. It's that time where it's been talked to death. I mean, over this week and last week, you mentioned it at the very start. Like, we're ready to go. Like, we're ready to, be done talking about it and actually get into the game. And there are some fantastic angles. Enjoy the game on Sunday, and we'll have you back next week to kind of recap all of it.
Yeah, guys, it's crazy, right? Last football game we're talking about for a while. So hopefully it's a good one. Good luck to your Chiefs, man. It'd be crazy to watch them 3-peat and make history. So it should be a good one on Sunday.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Appreciate it, PJ. We'll talk to you next week.
Yep. See you guys.
All right. There goes PJ Glasser. He's the host of the Tailgate Kickoff and Odyssey Sports Betting Insider. Insider calls are presented by BetMGM. For all of your betting needs, check out the newly rebranded BetMGM network on the Odyssey app. TJ, I mean, we're at a point now where there are so many different angles and so many different bets. But one thing that I do like from what PJ mentioned is just that, maybe waiting a little bit, waiting until Saturday, waiting until Sunday morning to see where these lines are going to settle.
Yeah. We talk about it. We do our Friday picks and everything. And then by the time Sunday rolls around, I always change my mind anyway. So it's probably the smart thing to do. I'm just curious. It's the last football game of the year. Is PJ a college hoops guy? Are we going to talk Shockers and Jayhawks with him?
Yeah, we haven't had a chance to really do a whole lot of that, throughout the playoffs and everything. But yeah, we'll get into that. We'll talk March Madness with him. We'll talk about the local teams. He'll give us, his best bets in college basketball as well. So once we get into, Major League Baseball season, we'll talk Royals. We'll talk, all of that. So he's
a real sicko like us.
Even though we're getting to the end of the football season, that doesn't mean betting is done. Do you bet golf? Are you a golf bettor?
Yeah, golf's fun to bet because you never have any idea who's going to win unless it's Scotty Scheffler.
I'm always a big fan of betting top 10 or top 20 finishes.
This is one of the most, like, if you really wanted to know how big of a sicko I am, if you rank like my top wins, it was like Super Bowl, a big March Madness win, and then the Wichita Open on the Corn Ferry Tour. Sam Stevens helped me out.
My favorite one, I think the most money I ever won on one bet was I picked Bryson DeChambeau when he won the U.S. Open. That was I think probably I brought home and that was, I'm going to confess it here. That was before sports betting was legal in this state. And I got paid out in Bitcoin. I don't think I ever really saw a dime from that, but it's a lot of fun. So we'll keep the betting talk going even after the NFL season is done. On the other side, Tim Fitzgerald, GoPowerCat.com, joining us to talk K-State. So we'll be back right after this. TJ Cleveland, Tommy Castor at Sports Daily, coming right back.
66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust. Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
It's the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood, written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say,
What is GMFB overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
310-01 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospitalized from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issue a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
And now, digging deeper with the teams you follow, it's another Sports Daily Insider interview on KFH.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Sports Daily on KFH. Tommy Castor, TJ Cleland, joined as we always are on Thursdays by our buddy Tim Fitzgerald. GoPowerCat.com. Fitz, we've been talking all show up to this point about how our buddy TJ was in Manhattan last night watching the K-State women upset TCU. Drove back to Wichita, got up early, is here on the radio with us this morning. That's what we call dedication right there.
I call that being young.
Fair enough.
I mean, when I woke up this morning was Fitz saying, how can we move the show to the middle of the night? And I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, I know. It's mornings aren't natural.
Still dark outside.
It's not dark now, but it was dark earlier.
I haven't seen the sunlight yet.
Somewhere in the world it's dark right now. Let's start off talking about the K-State women, Fitz. What a performance last night from them, knocking off a top 10 team in TCU at home. And of course, we started off the show by talking about that environment, talking about the performance. This Wildcats ladies team is for real, and like they could make a legitimate deep run in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, to do this without your star player, I mean, I think that's rather significant because they lost their first game with Aoka Lee sidelined at Colorado. They didn't look good. They looked a little bit lost, and now they don't even look like that team. They've reinvented themselves as something different without her. They're pressing. They're getting into the open court more. They're playing to a new identity. That's not easy to do. Jeff Biddy's all of a sudden turned his team into a full court press team, which is not something you typically learn overnight, and they're pretty good at it. So they're also doing something very interesting. Each game plan seems to feature a different player in the post. The player on the roster, because they've got about 4 choices as backups. That's how thorough they've been. Whatever player is going to give the opposition the most trouble, be the worst matchup, is who's playing. And we saw that last night when Sanchez just ran all over the court as a post and really created some problems for Prince from TCU.
It's pretty unreal just looking at this team because you've got Aoka Lee, who's going to get her jersey number retired. She's going to go down as one of the best in women's college basketball history, honestly, in that conversation. And then you've got Serena Sundell. When you watch them play, last night. You watched them play. I remember back in March whenever they were playing against Colorado that Serena Sundell could be better than Aoka Lee sometimes. And she was last night, she was the best player in America.
That was impressive. She completely took over a game in the second half against a really good TCU team. And she pretty much dictated that and backed down, a player considered to be among, one of the better ones in the country, and Haley Von Lithen, and scored some key points right through her. So I just can't even begin to describe how impressed I was by Sundell in that second half. And good players say, I got to do it. I got to do it right now. And that's exactly what she did.
You mentioned the word impressive, Fitz. Let's shift over to the men's side. it's been impressive the last few games for the Wildcats. I know that there are some analytics sites out there that are saying that K-State they're playing like the best team in America right now. They followed up their big upset win on the road in Ames at Iowa State with a dramatic road win at Arizona State. When they fell behind early on, they came back, and then they were, ultimately able to get the 1-point victory in Tempe. I mean, what in the world has happened with this team? Like, they are all of a sudden a really solid, really great basketball team.
Yeah. Again, they've discovered an identity that works for them, that they absolutely had no identity earlier in the year, offensively or defensively. And good teams connect those two identities together, and that's what Kansas State's men have been able to do. They suddenly are playing much better defense, and that's really at the core of everything going on here. Without being able to suppress some of the scoring that they've been giving up, they didn't have much of a chance. And now with that good defense, they're either creating turnovers or missed shots, and they're getting out and running, something they weren't doing on a consistent basis before, and attacking the rim. They've had problems in the half court, so don't run the half court. Go attack the rim in the open court. And they're playing to that identity. And when they stay in attack mode on both ends of the floor, this team's pretty good. When they don't, they're not good. They're just not. And that's the way they were for the first half of this season, or whatever that adds up to. They were pretty miserable to watch because they were so passive. This team ain't passive anymore.
It's 2 months ago, basically. K-State fans are sitting on their couch talking about how bad the coaching sucked. Did they change anything? Are the players, is it just resonating now? Like, is there something they did differently?
Honestly, I don't know if they changed anything. It's a great question, because I see them running basically the same stuff. They're just running it instead of walking it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's working because, I think it goes to the fact that no matter what you're doing, if you do it with enthusiasm, you'll be better at it. And they seem to be accepting these things as viable ways to win games, and they're being proven that they are. So I'm really impressed with how well they're playing right now, given the fact that they were so miserable. But now you've got players kind of lining up into different roles within this team, be it the star role, the point guard role, or the blue collar role that a guy like Max Jones is playing, or the armadillo assassin role being taken on by Brendan Hassan. So it's the armadillo assassin. What a great nickname that became. Yeah. God
That's so
ESPN
good.
Plus.
Let's talk briefly, Fitz, about David Gasson. And, I think that you could probably easily call that game against Arizona State a David Gasson legacy type game. I mean, not only just with the number of points he put up and the rebounds, he had a double-double, but there were some pretty high basketball IQ plays, especially that very last one, that sent Arizona State to the free throw line, as opposed to just a breakaway dunk to potentially win the game for Arizona State. He has rounded his form and rounded his role into a position to where, I think that I know that he's not the most high flying guy in the world, obviously, but some of those heads up plays are just phenomenal by him.
He's evidence of why you need players in your program for long term. And I think Jerome Tang's now realized that his ability to grow within the program for 3 seasons has led to this. And it gives you kind of a talent that's more invested. They've been through the growth. They've had to experience the ups and downs. How do you not like watching David Gasson? He just plays so hard. He does so many little things. He's willing to rebound. Is he a really efficient scorer? No, but he can absolutely torch you at times. He gets to the rim and can really make things happen. He can play above the rim. He's blocking shots this year. And really, his defense in the post has been an issue. And now they're kind of covering it up with, a little bit more help defense and doing some things to assist him, because that has been a weakness. He's not a true post, particularly on defense. And now they're trying to find ways to work around that so he can stay on the floor. And it's proven to be effective.
Fitz, before my question, you brought up the armadillo assassin. I didn't hear that part because of the screeching noise coming out of the ESPN Plus broadcast. What'd you think of that broadcast?
Well, my daily delivery this morning is about that, my daily video. And I had no general problem with the announcers other than they talk too much. They were just nonstop. And then their microphones went out, and I felt like the heavens opened because I really enjoyed watching this game with just the ambient noise of the crowd and the PA. Why doesn't ESPN Plus offer that as a second availability? It'd be basically the same stream. They've just removed the announcers from it and have a mic that would pick up the PA and all those things. We don't need announcers. We don't need play-by-play guys when we're sitting in the stands watching a game.
True.
Why do we need them all the time on TV? Why can't we opt out of having the announcers who annoy us so often and just let us watch a game with the shoes squeaking on the floor and the crowd roaring and the whistles blowing and the PA announcer explaining the calls? And then, maybe your producer puts up some graphics.
He played, basically.
Yeah, they didn't have ESPN Plus back in the James Naismith days.
They did not.
No.
Right.
Well, I don't think so. I don't know.
Talking about the team, I saw somebody post something about this that you're only going to lose Coleman Hawkins and David Gasson and everybody else who transfers out and everything. But just thinking about who this team was 2 months ago, that was probably a bad thing thinking about it. Now you got a future if you can hold on to these guys.
You would have told me just a month ago that Doug McDaniel was going to turn into a cornerstone of this team and program and probably be returning for next year. I would have laughed at you. But that's where we're at. It seems like that moment when Jerome Tang showed him grace, people made fun of him for it and, misinterpreted what he was saying to be, I don't know. It was frustrating when he said he felt the weight of the Lord telling him to, show some forgiveness. And he did, and he's been rewarded, and so is Doug. And now Doug mentioned him yesterday, the other day after the game, as a father figure. How we got here is absolutely a testament to the quality of person Jerome Tang is, and people trying to villainize him, but he's trying to get Doug to do things the right way, which he hasn't been, and he's doing it now, and Doug's seeing the results, and that's pretty powerful.
Before we let you go, Fitz, Saturday, huge Sunflower Showdown Part 2 inside Bramlage. I go back to the first time these two teams met, and to me, that was a moment for me watching the way K-State handled that game at Allen Fieldhouse when they could have easily folded up like a cheap lawn chair, and it would have fit into the way that this team had been performing. They didn't. They hung tough, and moral victories are moral victories, but being able to hang in a situation when this team had been down for so long, I thought was pretty important for the Wildcats at that time. Now you get the Jayhawks again, and with the way that K-State's been playing, they could win this game inside Bramlage on Saturday.
Well, a couple things. I do wonder if the Arizona State win happens, if they don't rally at Kansas and get back in that game. Because they started, 14-0 in Lawrence and 15-0 in Tempe. Granted, Kansas is a much better team, and Allen Fieldhouse is a much more difficult environment than whatever that Arizona State arena is called. But I think they've been building on these things and finding their confidence, finding their way. This is a much different team that started that game in Lawrence. It really is, because of everything they've been through leading up to this point. Look, if you're a K-State fan, you're asking the question, can this team still make the NCAA tournament? And it's nearly impossible. That's how tragically bad that start of the season was. But we think they've got 2 games that they can lose in the regular season before they go to Kansas City for the tournament. And they've got Kansas and Arizona in back-to-back games at Bramlage Coliseum. Winning 1 is essential. Winning 2 probably needs to be done too. And it starts with Kansas, and they've chosen a steep path, Kansas State, because of their start. They've built their own troubles into the schedule, and now they've got to solve them. And that starts Saturday afternoon with the Kansas Jayhawks. It's a mighty task, because I think Bill Self is a brilliant coach, and the way he pieces teams together and keeps them at high levels is absolutely astonishing. It really is.
Fitz, I want to let you know something. Since I started covering the KU and the K-State beat, I've never not seen K-State beat KU in Bramlage Coliseum. So they should probably be favored when the line comes out.
That's crazy. That's crazy. And, that's a credit to the fan base, really. They've turned Bramlage into a much more daunting place than it has been in the past. But Yeah, it's going to be fun on Saturday.
Fitz, we appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week about those games and looking ahead for Kansas State. We appreciate it, man.
Good to talk to you, boys.
All right, there goes Tim Fitzgerald, GoPowerCat.com. We'll be right back. More Sports Daily just around the corner.
"66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust." Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30.